The first shot shattered the sunrise. It ripped across the desert air like a thunderclap, scattering horses, tearing through wood, and staining the sand with fresh blood. Before the town of Red Hollow had even finished waking up, smoke curled between wooden storefronts, drifting like restless spirits. And by the time the church bell began to ring, 3 men were already dead in the street. At the center of the chaos stood Cade Mercer, the most feared outlaw west of the Rio Grande. Revolver steady, coat swaying in the wind, eyes colder than the steel in his hand. He had not come for blood. He had come for revenge. But war, once sparked, does not ask for permission to burn. Across the street, stepping out from behind the saloon doors with a rifle balanced against her shoulder, was the last person Cade expected to see, Elena Cruz, daughter of the very ranching family his gang had sworn to destroy. She should have been hiding. She should have been afraid. Instead, she aimed straight at his heart without a tremor in her hands. The street fell silent, except for the crackle of fire, beginning to climb the general store walls. Cade and Elena locked eyes across drifting smoke, enemies by name, strangers by destiny, both bound to families that had hated each other for generations over land, water, and pride. One more bullet and the war would deepen. One moment of hesitation and something far more dangerous might begin. Cade lowered his gun first. It was not weakness, it was confusion. In Elena's gaze, there was no hatred, only fury sharpened by grief. Her brother lay among the fallen. Cade hadn't pulled that trigger. But in war, truth gets buried beneath noise. "This isn't your fight," he told her quietly, though every man on both sides could hear the tension straining his voice. "It became my fight when your men rode through our fields," she replied, her words steady as iron. Around them, Cade's gang shifted uneasily, hands twitching near holsters. On rooftops, the Cruz ranch hands took aim. The desert wind rose, carrying sparks from the burning store into dry hay piled near the stables. One spark became 2. 2 became 10. Within minutes, Red Hollow was no longer a town. It was a battlefield. Shots erupted again. Horses screamed, glass shattered, and the sky itself seemed to darken with smoke. Cade grabbed Elena as a beam collapsed between them, dragging her clear before she could be crushed. For a heartbeat, they were inches apart, breath mingling, chaos fading into the background. He could have let her fall. She could have fired point blank. Neither did. They took cover inside the abandoned sheriff's office while the war roared outside. The old jail bars rattled with every explosion. "If you walk out there," Elena warned him, "my father will kill you." Cade gave a grim half-smile. "If I stay, my men will." Silence stretched between them, broken only by gunfire. He told her he never ordered the raid on her ranch. She told him her brother swore he saw Cade leading it. Someone was lying. Someone wanted the 2 most powerful families in the territory to tear each other apart. And as the town burned, the realization settled like ash. This was bigger than revenge. This was orchestration. By sunset, Red Hollow was half destroyed. The Cruz ranchers retreated east. Cade's gang rode west. And somewhere between smoke and starlight, both leaders carried the same unwanted thought about the way the other had chosen mercy. When death would have been easier, the next weeks turned the west into a tinderbox. Supply wagons were ambushed. Wells were poisoned. Fences torn down. Whispers spread of a railroad tycoon eager to seize both families. Lands once they were weak enough to fail. Every skirmish deepened suspicion, yet every encounter between Cade and Elena grew more complicated. They met once at the dried riverbed, under a white flag of truce, both arriving alone, both risking everything. The desert night shimmered silver beneath the moon. They argued first, accused, defended, but anger slowly unraveled into something else, understanding. Cade spoke of losing his father to a crooked land deal. Elena admitted her brother had been reckless, hungry for glory. The truth emerged in fragments, forged letters, false witnesses, paid mercenaries disguised as outlaws. They were being maneuvered like pieces on a board. And yet, knowing the game did not stop, the blood already spilled. "If our people find out we met like this," Elena whispered, "They'll call me a traitor." Cade's reply was quiet but certain. "Then we end the war before they get the chance." But wars do not end quietly. They explode before they fade. And as dawn broke over the desert, a distant column of smoke rose from the direction of the Cruz ranch. The war had just found new fuel. The flames were still rising from the Cruz ranch when Elena reached Blackstone Canyon and found Cade standing in front of the ruins of his own hideout. Burned wagons, dead horses, men he had grown up with lying still in the dust, and carved into a half-burned post was the mark neither of them could ignore: a silver railroad spike. The same symbol left at her ranch, the same symbol left at every attack, meant to push them deeper into hatred. They did not argue this time. They did not accuse. The truth stood between them like open ground. Someone powerful wanted both sides destroyed. "Elena," Cade said quietly, jaw tight with controlled fury, "if we keep fighting each other, we finish their work for them." She met his eyes, and whatever fear once lived there was gone. "Then we stop being enemies. Uniting their people was harder than facing bullets." Her father called it betrayal. Cade's men called it weakness, but the evidence of manipulation was undeniable. Forged letters, paid riders, staged ambushes. The railroad tycoon who wanted their land had turned pride into a weapon. So they made a dangerous plan. They spread word of a final showdown at Devil's Ridge, a duel to end the war. Both factions gathered armed and tense beneath a burning orange sky. Hidden in the rocks were hired mercenaries, waiting for the two sides to destroy each other so they could sweep in and claim the land. Cade stepped forward first. Elena stood opposite him. Silence fell heavy across the ridge. Instead of aiming at her, Cade turned and fired into the rocks above. Elena did the same. Chaos exploded, but this time the ranchers and outlaws fought side by side. The real enemy, caught off guard, scrambled in panic. Gunfire roared across the canyon walls. Dust swallowed the sky. And when it ended, the mercenaries were gone, defeated, scattered, or buried beneath the desert they tried to steal. The war that had set the West on fire ended not with a duel, but with unity. In the weeks that followed, something rare happened. Outlaws laid down old grudges. Ranchers rebuilt fences with men they once hunted. Suspicion did not vanish overnight, but the bloodshed stopped. Cade disbanded his gang, choosing to protect the land instead of terrorize it. Elena stood beside her father and spoke the truth publicly, even when her voice shook. And slowly Red Hollow rose again from ash. One quiet evening, beneath the same moon that had watched them nearly kill each other, Cade stood beside Elena overlooking the town. The wind carried no smoke this time, only the scent of new timber and open land. "We were supposed to destroy each other," Cade said. Elena laced her fingers with his. "Instead, we destroyed the war. The West would remember the gunfire. It would remember the flames. But more than that, it would remember the day two enemies chose love over pride and changed everything. And that was the day the West burned with war, but rose again because two outlaws dared to fall in love."